my name is EJ Massa. Guys, one of my favorite characters was finally killed this past episode. No, not Olenna Tyrell, but she will be missed. No, I'm talking about time and distance. Sure, up to this point, this character has been brutalized in countless ways. Hell, Littlefinger alone stabbed this character like a dozen times. He was still crawling up to season 7, episode 3, where he was mutilated, maimed, and ultimately murdered. R.I.P. time and distance. Some of my favorite moments with the character were travels along the King's Road, Arya and the Hound capering in the Riverlands, and who can forget Jaime and Brienne's classic run-ins with time and distance. But now he's dead, so nothing matters anymore, and life is meaningless. Hope you're ready to laugh. Jon Snow is already at Dragonstone. Look, I don't want to nitpick everything, but it does bother me. It takes me out of the show. So they just get here, fine. That's fine. But in a later scene, Dany just finds out about Euron taking Yara and the Sand Snakes, which I always assumed happened right outside Dragonstone because in the previous episodes, Euron left King's Landing, which is in the same bay as Dragonstone. It makes sense that he'd run into the Sand Snakes right outside the bay. So news of the attack reaches Dany way after Jon goes all this distance. I don't mind the time hopping, I just think this is inconsistent. It's sloppy. You can't condition your audience to pay attention to the details of your meticulously created world, and then in the last couple seasons you're just like, fuck it. You know, I'm not angry. I know they're trying to get to the end game. They're just trying to simplify. But could you please make it a little bit less obvious? So they have to hand over all their weapons. An apparition of Sansa floats over Jon's head. Don't do it. You'll look weak. Fucking typical. Davos tries to make office small talk. Crazy weather we're having. How about them Red Sox? I hear your island has butterflies or something. And like most office small talk, it ends in crushing, deafening silence. Jon and Tyrion talk about how Sansa is coming into her own, and Sansa's apparition agrees. Mistake! This is all a mistake! Then Jon is greeted by a dragon. That makes his great unease much better. Mistake! Dragons are cool, right? Yeah, cool. I totally didn't piss myself. Mel applauds herself for bringing ice and fire together. That's sort of the name of the series. Maybe they'll sing a song. Varys is like, cool, now you can leave the show for a while because the writers don't know what to do with you. Mel's like, don't worry, I'll come back to die. No shit, don't you know what show you're on? Jon meets Dany, and they read off her LinkedIn profile. It's lengthy. Jon does not have a LinkedIn profile. He is unsure if he should make one. Dany expects Jon to bend the knee because his ancestors bent the knee, and bent knee disease runs in the Stark family. But Jon's like, well, killing my family runs in your family. But I do concede that you are better than Cersei. Which, let's be honest, ain't that hard. You're better than the worst person, you get a medal. But Jon refuses to bend the knee, and it's getting pretty heated, but they still manage to maintain that awkward blocking, just standing around in their formation. First one to break loses. Dany loses. Dany talks about how she can accomplish anything because she believes in herself. Davos raps for Jon. Well, other people believe in him because he fights for them, he dies for them, and in 3 days rises again in fulfillment of the scriptures. He is the Messiah, the Jesus Christ of Westeros. Oops. They just really like him for no supernatural reasons, that's for sure. Varys comes in whispering news, and the meeting is adjourned. Jon's all like, am I being detained? Dude, calm down. This season has no time for that. Theon gets saved, but not by Gendry in a rowboat. Someday, my pet. Someday. And he's like, I bravely tried to save my sister from the dreaded... No, you didn't. But my dad works for Nintendo, and he says there's going to be a Mario and Zelda game where you play them together. No, there's not. If you say Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times... Just stop. Euron parades the Sand Snakes through King's Landing, and he proves that the people there have not improved their manners in 2 seasons since Cersei's walk. Hey, respect those abs. Those are impressive abs. So rude. They enter the throne room.
Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
You gotta respect Cersei and Euron. They don't give a fuck about being evil. She dresses all in black, her guards look like Shredder, and keeps an evil wizard around. Euron messes with Jaime.
A finger in the bum. Shh. Not now. We'll talk later.
This show needs another Emmy, please. Cersei prepares to torture Ilaria. She tells her she spends her whole night imagining ways to destroy her enemies. Which, I think we always just assumed. Then Cersei leaves us with the horrifying thought of watching our loved ones die and rot in front of us. Good thing whiskey exists. Good thing. I like whiskey so I don't have to dwell on these things. Where's my baby? I need to hug my baby. I like to drink whiskey. And then murdering makes Cersei all murder horny. Game of Thrones is great because it has deep character relationships, intricate action sequences, and of course, most of all, detailed scenes about banking. In real life, like, we have to go to the bank to get money. So does Cersei. Epic fantasy banking. Cersei says she'll pay back all the crown's debts. Let's be real, folks. It's not easy to pay back all them debts. It's so easy to get credit cards and max them out and keep getting credit cards and max them out. Man's coming to break my legs. On an unrelated note, this is a perfect opportunity to mention our Patreon page. Don't let the men break my legs. Tyrion and Jon are just brooding away. Just brooding. Starcraft warsing away. But Tyrion is like, hey, simplify your marketing message and just ask for the magic rocks. I totally thought he was going to have him propose a marriage alliance, but I guess the rocks are an easier ask. Tyrion goes to Dany and is like, just give him the rocks and let him go home. Okay, fine. Hey, did they say Jon was Jesus? Not important to the plot right now. Just the rocks, please. Dany and Jon have a scene together, and man, it's super weird that he's pretty much talking to his aunt. It's still strange to see him in scenes together after she's been in Essos for so long. I'm so used to her being color-corrected yellow-orange than blue. She mentions that he lost 2 brothers, but wait, isn't it 3 brothers dead on the public record? Does she know Bran lives? If so, then she should know that Bran is Lord of Winterfell. Again, I'm confused about who knows what. I guess everyone knows everything. Just throw the hands up. Enjoy the ride. Don't think about this too hard. Sansa is at Winterfell just being a boss and figuring out logistics. Littlefinger brings her aside and tells her his secret to life. Just pretend all the time and be super paranoid. That's cool, Littlefinger. That works for you, but to me it just turns into crippling anxiety. Should I publish it? What if everyone hates me? Maybe I should just hide in a closet and never do anything ever again. Bran's back and he tells Sansa that Bran isn't his real name anymore. Please use my internet handle, 3-Eyed Raven. Follow me on my Twitch channel, 3-Eyed Raven. Don't call me Bran. On the internet, I'm 3-Eyed Raven. I have a cool name. He then brings up the most horrific night in Sansa's life for some reason. 3-Eyed Raven. So edgy. That's it for the scarring? Seriously, he cut off like huge chunks of skin. Cadbury cream sauce was everywhere. And that's it? How much time has passed? Throw up your hands, EJ. Try not to nitpick. Just go with it. You know who the MVP of the episode is? Talking. Lots of scenes of talking. Many scenes in many rooms. Lots of talking. Don't forget bank talking. Hell, Tyrion has a monologue so good, it captures Casterly Rock. But it was actually a trap, and Jaime pulled an old Robb Stark and let a soft target go so he could go for the real target, Highgarden. Which, if you've been listening to the show, is where all the food in Westeros comes from. And people need food. They put the food in their mouth, and then they eat it. So anyways, Jaime meets Olenna, who teleported back to Highgarden from Dragonstone. Fuck maps. Olenna asks Jaime how he can love a monster like Cersei. Well, sometimes monsters, they have claws, but they can use their claws to make beautiful things. Beautiful claw art. Does Cersei make claw art? No. Olenna then drinks the poison and tells Jaime that she killed Joffrey. The end. I almost thought for a second that Jaime already knew that she poisoned Joffrey, and that's why he gave her the poison wine in the first place. I mean, why wouldn't he know? Everyone knows everything. I was telling someone on Reddit, the creators of the show are just barreling down the tracks, and they just expect you to put your hands up and enjoy it. What happens if the safety bar starts rattling? You gotta put your hands down. You gotta hold on for dear life and start screaming. But I don't know what I expect. There's only 7 episodes this season. There's only 6 next season. But I wish things were done just a little bit more elegantly. Sometimes it feels like I'm reading the Wikipedia summary of the show, or all of a sudden Jaime will be in Highgarden and I thought HBO glitched and skipped ahead in the episode, but no, that was the next scene. Another thing I noticed is that they're really dropping in a lot of lines from season 1. Like Tyrion in this episode referenced Bronn's line, give me 10 good men and I'll impregnate the bitch. It's almost like the show saying, look guys, it's the same show, see? We know the episodes, they say these things, It's the same show. I see what you're doing, show. I see what you're doing. but I don't want to be completely negative. There's some great stuff in this episode. It's always fun to see Jon and Tyrion interact, as I feel like they have great chemistry together. I love the power dynamics and family histories clashing for the first time with Dany and Jon. Dany and Jon actually seem to have some good chemistry too, so that's a surprise. Dany's situation looks even worse, and it's not going to be that walk in the park that it seemed like in the end of season 6. And I'm kind of a fan of Euron and Cersei out mustache twirling each other in their own villain ways, even if it is a little cartoonish. And while I didn't like the execution of the battles, I enjoyed Jaime learning from his earlier mistakes in the series and getting the jump on Dany and Tyrion using Robb Stark's techniques. And while I wasn't a fan of the dialogue in the past few episodes, I felt it was much stronger and more confident in this episode. And of course, Diana Rigg gave one last great performance as the Queen of Thorns. I'm a little disappointed, just because I consider the world of this show its own character, and it just feels a little underwritten right now, especially with how they set up these rules and now they're not abiding by these rules. It's like if Tyrion all of a sudden started wearing a backwards hat and board shorts and just started saying hang tight all the time. Actually, I'd probably watch that. It's not as bad as like if the show started off as Mad Men and ended as Big Bang Theory, but it does feel like a slightly different show with the same characters. And to play devil's advocate with myself, if they did take the time to make the travel make more sense, it might lead to more useless padding, so this might be the best version of the show right now. There's one character that is still subject to time and distance, and maybe even more so than other people, is the Night King. And he's just slowly keeps chugging. Where the heck is he? So maybe I'm being too hard on the show. Tell me if you liked it. Did you like this episode? Does anything bother you? I mean, Frankie wasn't bothered by it. In fact, he likes all the efficiencies that come across in the show. So tell me, and we'll have a little chat. See you next time. Bye.